birth of the internet was a revolution, and provided a lot of opportunities for young artists to sell their merch, because merch is big, distribute their music on their own platform. You know, and then these guys going and doing tours by themselves. Right. Not the label at all. Everything's digital. You know?
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, you know, I have a gentleman I'm putting up this episode later on today, and he's discussing about independent artistry. And the thing is, you know, me myself, I used to be an independent artist trying to, you know, promote my music and stuff like that. What was so dope about him being on the platform, and shout out to, you know, Livewire Empire, the information he gave wasn't just the standard what everybody tells you. He was taking it a step further about, you know, how much our art, especially in hip hop, is taken across seas, and how you want to invest your money. So many people get up hundreds of dollars to go to these venues for 3 minutes. Man, save up that money, go overseas. And you'd be surprised, you know, what the reception you would get as an independent artist from United States, and what you could do with that. And so the information he was given was just priceless, man. So, you know, going back to a guy like Nipsey Hussle, when you see what he accomplished, you know, from even, I think it was selling the CDs for $100, you know, listen, the confidence you have to have in yourself to do something like that, let alone a lot of people don't want to pay the $5. So to turn around and put yourself in a situation you're like, all right, you know what, I'm selling my CDs for $100 and people are buying it. Man, that's amazing in itself. And that's where it starts, with the confidence in yourself and what it is that you're doing.
And you got to believe in yourself, right? You really got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your product, believe that you can actually do it. Right? Is there a niche market? Can you fit, or can you create something that's different, right? Raw and uncut that people probably want, or can you be that type of person that make people want your stuff, right? How do you make people change people's mind to make them like you, right? So it's multifaceted. It's not even just, you have to be your own manager, you have to be your own marketing person, your own promotion, your own, know a little bit about creating social media pages and engaging, right, with your fan base or potential fan base. So just like anything, you know, you have to be familiar with some facets of everything, you know.
So CopsNKids, you know, how did that come about? What birthed the idea to turn into a reality? What started CopsNKids?
I think for us, there was a need. We knew there was a need, and we needed to connect with our young people as related to law enforcement. And there was just so many different negative imagery of law enforcement. We do see a lot of positive things that law enforcement do, but on a grander scale, a lot of negative things. And I think that for us to connect with the youth so that they can see exactly what it's like to be a law enforcement officer, but also you add a little more to that, to see law enforcement of color. Right? You don't see many of us out there in the community. You do see some. I'm not taking anything away from them. But I think for us it's different because we're all law enforcement from different spectrums of law enforcement, and we're off duty, devoting our time and energy. So I think for us it's very important that our young people see that, and our communities abroad see that, and that we're able to provide certain things that they probably ordinarily wouldn't get. So we give them information that's real, something that they can relate to, something that they can see us. Okay, I can see the fact that you're a law enforcement officer, and you're giving us information that you actually care about us. You're not. It's not like everything we do is authentic, right? Everything is from the heart, and we're community based. So all of us has been involved in the community, some shape, form, or fashion, and we constantly giving back. And it's not just for our youth; it's just for our community at large. So I think that's the spirit behind it, and that's what birthed it. We saw there was a need for it, and we just said one day we all got together, our wife Cindy O'Farrell and our co-founder Byron McCrae, we said, let's do this. There's a need, let's make this happen, and it became a reality. And officially we've been, doing this for a little over a year. and we're looking, to expand.
Right.
So we're based in Long Island, but we're looking to expand a little further out east on Long Island, looking to Nassau County, New York City. We do have a little base in New York City as well, but we're primarily out here in Long Island doing greater good.
Right. So in 2020, we seen, coronavirus, the way the pandemic played out. You had a lot of elderly people, young people, various ages, need help. How did Cops and Kids provide hope and need for some of these people that could use, a bright spot in their lives?
Well, what wound up happening is with Cops and Kids, so being that COVID pretty much changed the landscape for everybody. It affected everybody. Young, black, old, white, doesn't matter, right? And we couldn't connect with the youth like we would ordinarily do. Right. So we felt that, we're a community-based organization focusing on youth. Let's expand a little bit more. Let's expand to people that need help, whoever needs help. And let's put all our mind and our resources together. And we sat down. So there are people out here lost their jobs because of COVID, right? A lot of people couldn't feed themselves, they couldn't pay their mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. So we knew we couldn't help them financially, but we figured, we all know that everybody on this planet needs food, they need sustenance, right? So we said, let's put our heads together once again, and we tapped into all our resources. We tapped into local government, we tapped into other organizations, and we said, is there any way that you can help us out? We want to do this program where we want to give food out to the people that actually need it. If we have to go knock on doors, sir, do you need food? Let us know. So we were able to do that and then expand our resources and our network and reach out to them and say, listen, if you know anybody needs any food, let us know. Then we also tapped into social media. So that was huge. Letting everybody know, in your network. So you figure if we got 5 people in that network and you have 5 people in your network, then that Fred has, so it just cascades out. It's the big spider web. And everybody was able to reach out to their networks. Listen, this is what they have. They have food, whatever we can get them, hot meals. Right. So we were able to get food from Brooklyn, La Brea Gardens in Brooklyn. They were able to donate their time and their energy and money and resources, and they were able to donate some food. Then we had Pastor Hayward, who's out here in Bethel, AME. He was able to give us some food as well. Wow. And then we were, some of the food that we had that was sitting in our cabinets that we weren't using, we gave that out. So we had canned food, we had hot food, we had vegetables, we had fruit, and we gave out in well over 7,000 meals to well over 300 families in that short period of time. Now, mind you, this was during the height of COVID, where really nobody was going outside. Right. So we were out there knocking on doors, picking up food, bagging it up, and we were doing this for at least, I think we started in March, beginning of March. Right. And I want to say we probably stopped in June or July, I think it was. Right. So. Wow. So how is the support been? Because, in order to continue something of this magnitude, you need the people behind you. You need the support of the people. How has that been? Because to get the donations of food and all that, you need people to see the cause and want to support it. How has that been for you? It's been tremendous. I mean, the amount of support that we've gotten from the community at large, those people that really appreciated the fact that we were actually driving from way out here to West Babylon out east to drop off food, they're really appreciative. They tapped into their resources and their family members, and they thanked us. And believe it or not, the amount of support that we got from people we didn't even know was tremendous, because that funding allowed us to continue the program and move it forward. So even when we thought about what we considered in the program, because it's very expensive to do this. Yes. And we were doing this in our off time, and when I'm off of work or when my wife is off from work, and we were getting no sleep. And I think a lot of people saw that and they like, these people are actually out there, because we're giving our lives for other people's lives. Right. This is when people are still trying to understand COVID, and when it's the state is putting out mandates, 6 feet, and this is before all of that stuff. And people are like, wow, they're doing all this for me, like for us. Yeah. So that resonated, and I think everybody that saw that really appreciated that, and that amount of support was tremendous, and we still get that today. We get emails, or we get cards. It's like, thank you so much. You know, I was down to my last can of soup.
Wow.
And I was eating cat food, and
Ooh, wow.
yeah, it was really bad.
Wow.
And some people were even crying, like, oh, you know, I don't have any family. Or I gave you a couple other stories. There were some families, that elderly people that were distanced from their families, and they lived out of state, and they heard about us through social media, and they will contact us from another state and letting us know that, oh, listen, can you help my mother out? She's alone, or my mother and father's alone, and they don't have anything, and I can't come up there because they shut down. They weren't allowing anybody to come from out of state, because at that time there was, you know, the state had locked everything down. If you were from this state, you couldn't come in.
Yes.
So we were able to provide that necessary that meal, the hot meal.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And comfort for and even sometimes we would just, you know, chat with them for like 10-15 minutes while we drop off the food, because we wanted to make sure it wasn't just feeding them, right? So we want to make sure that they're okay, making sure that they're mentally sound, because, you know, as you get older in age and you're not able to, you know, interact with loved ones or other people, you know, they become lonely. So we made sure that they were okay, and if they needed any additional resources, we were able to tap into our network to give them that. Beautiful. So if there was medicine that they needed, we would, you know, if we would try to go out and get that, or help them get that. Or I think there was a couple other families, elderly families, they couldn't go out, or they didn't want to go out because their kids told them, Mom, Dad, don't go out. We went food shopping for them a couple times.
Wow.
Yeah, we just paid for the food.
Huge.
Yeah. So what do you need? How many people you got in your family? 5, 6 people? Okay. So my wife, being a culinary queen that she is, she's like, okay, 5. All right, it's 2 of them. They got 2 boys and 3 girls. Okay. Wow. They need X amount of food. So we would go ShopRite or whatever and buy a whole bunch of food that will last from like 2.5 weeks.
Wow. So, now going into that, because, man, that is beautiful, but we also understand too that these things cost.
Yes.
How do you go about getting the donations that you need, whether it be financially, donations of food? How is that process to get the things that you need to be able to help these families in need?
But we just asked people. In the beginning, we came out of our pockets, thousands of dollars on our own.
Wow.
We tapped into our savings. The overtime that I work at work, the time that I stayed extra, and I use that money. And then my wife, whatever bonuses she got, or our co-founder, Byron, whatever money he had, we put that together in the beginning. And then we started asking people. So listen, can you spare, whatever you can donate, $5, $1, $10, whatever you can spare. And then after a while, that money started pouring in. And all that just covered the cost for us to purchase the food. That was it. So whatever money we got, that went 100% back to those families.
Right. So now we've seen the holidays just recently passed, and we see, cops and kids out there, going to the neighborhoods and giving toys to the kids. How was that, man? To see that experience and, growing up the way we grew up, a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of people don't and aren't able to afford things that they need. How was that feeling, man, to be able to go to these kids and see the smiles on their faces?
Oh, it's tremendous. We have an overwhelming amount of support that we received this year for Operation Give Back. And this is actually our 10th year doing this. This is our 2nd year doing it here in Long Island. So we started in Brooklyn back in 2010. And we started at STARRETT City Boxing Club. But since I moved out to Long Island, I wanted to do something out here for Long Island. And take the same concept, but for Long Island and the town of West Babylon and town of Islip, it was tremendous. We partnered with the local town of Babylon. We partnered with them, and also local business community as well. And they were able to, to accept toys, receive toys for us. So they were reaching into their networks as well, and then we would go on social media again, and we would put the word out, and there was word of mouth, and then everybody came together, and we would just pick up toys from different local businesses that we partnered with them. We partnered with the town, and then the town, would chip in. We're putting out information on their website, and people found out about us. So it's one of those things like this person told that person, this person told this person, and then the town of Babylon, they advertised it, and everybody in our friend circle on social media, they wound up advertising it. So it kind of took a world of its own. But for us, it was tremendous because we said to ourselves early on, during the beginning of COVID that we knew there was going to be a shortage of toys.
Right.
So we were able to put together something where we can partner with like organizations in the towns as well. If we can get the word out, then we can receive a lot more toys, so that this way we knew that being there's a shortage, there's going to be a lot more requests for toys. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough toys to cover that.
Right.
And which we did, and we thank everybody that participated with that. But I will tell you is that we wound up doing, 3 towns, and we wound up having more toys than we expected. So we wound up going out into Brentwood again, and we wound up doing a drive-through. So we put the word out. It was almost like a pop-up shop.
Right.
So it was like a day or two before. We put on social media, and then people just came out. And we knew it was the day before Christmas Eve, and a lot of people couldn't go out, or they couldn't get the toys because whatever reason. And I think we saw quite a few families that were very appreciative of the toys that they got, because they got a whole bunch of toys. And they were crying, and they were thanking us and praying for us. Like, oh my God, this is so great. And I think for us, because we've been so busy, we haven't had the opportunity to really, breathe this in, absorb the effects that we were having on people. And so we were able to sit back and go like, wow, I'm like, oh man, I'm like.
Yes, it's incredible.
We're doing this out of the goodness of our heart, right?
Right.
So we're not expecting anything in return. So like, you need something, whatever you need, we're gonna get it for you. And I told my wife, I'm like, wow, I'm like, and after we were done, I'm like we affected so many people.
Yeah.
Like they were so happy.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know us. Right?
Wow. Yeah, and that's incredible.
And they were like, oh my God, thank you. And I felt overwhelmed at that moment. I felt a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, I'm really doing something and people appreciate it.
Yes.
Right? And for me, that's all I ask.
Yeah.
Is that I want to give you something that you probably don't already have. It's something that you need. Yeah. If I can help you out, then let me help you out. If we can help you out for that matter.
Yes.
Whether it's give you a piece of advice, whether it's try to get a job for you, whether it's trying to help a family out financially, whatever that need is. See, because it takes a community to raise a community.
Yes.
And that's the way I was raised. Like, you always have to give back.
With, seeing that, what could other communities that want to do what Cops and Kids are doing, and like so many other Howard House transformational innovators, what they're doing out there. We had just did a recent video on that with their coat drive and their toy. What could other communities, because I'm sure it's a lot of other people that sit back and be like, man, I want to help my community, but really don't know where to start from, the right way. Sometimes just going out giving out. And this is, we understand that people been doing this from, going around their neighborhoods, going back to their old neighborhoods, giving out turkeys or, bringing out coat drives and stuff like that. But what do you think people in the communities could do more of to be of help to organizations like yourself that are trying to make a difference and trying to help others?
Well, you know what? It's not even about organizations like ours. Just to be a human being, to help one another out. Right? You don't have to have an organization to help people out. But if that's something that you want to do, that's fine too. I think partnering with like organizations have the same mission, same goal in life. Partner with them and learn how to run an organization, how to be one with the community. Tap into that. Also find out where there is a need. If there's a need, see how you can fill that void. Right? Because you don't need a team of 20 people.
No.
All you need is the goodness in your heart.
Yes.
That purity. Check on your neighbors. Make sure they're doing okay. How are you? Need anything? Feel free to give me a call. That's all. Each one teach one.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, I see, we love the merch you got on, the Cops and Kid, the sweater, the hat. Tell us a little bit about that and what are the plans as far as if people wanted to purchase and stuff like that. Give us a little bit about that.
Well, this is something that we started to do to raise funds. That's pretty much all it is, to raise funds for our organization so that we can continue to teach our youth, be one with the youth, and then expand our mission a little bit and help out the community any way we can. Let's be quite honest. I mean, running an organization, a nonprofit, which is a business, it's not easy. It costs money, and without funding, then, you kind of stagnate a little bit. There's a limit of what you can and can't do. So I think for us, it just made sense is that, it's a branding technique. that we put together, the hoodies, the t-shirts, the hats, and it's just fundraising. And what we decided to do was mess with the colors a little bit. We had our typical normal color, and then we wanted to do a little something different with the color and just brighten it up a little bit. And if people are interested, they can check us out on www.CopsNKidsLI.org. Google us, you can find us. You can contact us at 631-306-4261 if you're interested. And 100% all the proceeds go back into the community.
There you go. So you guys got that? You know, again, we always try to help, you know, people out here that are doing the right thing. You want to contribute, you want to help, please make sure you support. And that's what we do. So what is the future like for Cops and Kids? And what's next?
Limitless. But we do have a couple things on tap for 2021. But it all depends on COVID, on how this virus pans out. Because as you can see, sports is kind of limited when it comes to young people interacting like we normally would. It's not the same anymore. So we have to sit back and wait. But I tell everybody, just check us out, follow us on social media, and see what we got coming up. We'll keep it surprised. We got a few things on tap, but we don't put it out there just yet.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, so
cute little mystery,
and that's what we want. Again, we want to thank this brother out here for doing what he's doing along with his wife. And I'm not done yet, because what he's not telling you is he's done and continues to do so much more. So also let people know a little bit about your affiliation with STARRETT City Boxing Club, and what that means to you, and give them a little history on that.
Okay, well, you got enough tape on here?
Yeah.
So we don't even use tape anymore. But so I'm the grandson of the legendary Jimmy O'Farrell, and
there you go.
I'm the current president, executive officer of STARRETT City Boxing Club, as well as my wife, who's the vice president. And Byron, who's a very good friend of mine, is on our board as well. And we're based out of STARRETT City. We started back in 1978. And so I was 7 years old. I'm telling my age right now. But, but it was started by my grandfather, Jimmy O. And since then, legend, yes. Legend just in life, legend in boxing. And we've had probably anywhere between 6 to 8 world champions. Big shout out to Louis Collazo. Big shout out to all the other guys that train at the gym. It's so many. Monty, big shout out to Monty, Two Guns Barrett, Shannon Briggs. I can go on and on and on. But so we've been closed because of COVID, right? We truly believe that the health and well-being of all our members is our utmost priority. So that's why we've been closed. There are some gyms that remain open, and we understand that. We support them, but right now we want to make sure that we can open, and then everybody can come in and train and don't have to worry about getting sick and things of that nature. So we want to make sure that we reevaluate the situation, and at some point we'll reopen again.
Right. But how important is it, growing up in boxing in the inner city? How important is that to the youth? Learning, because myself, I boxed at STARRETT City. I think everyone, discipline, physical fitness. There's so much that you learn. Tell us a little bit about that and what you got to see growing up, and how instrumental of a role did that play in your growing up?
Well, it was huge. I mean, I lived with my grandparents. I was a young adolescent at the time, and being raised with my grandparents and boxing taught me another side of discipline. I was already raised by elders, my second generation removed, but it taught me how to work with others, because the program within itself was a youth-oriented, community-based program that was focused primarily on at-risk youth, and that's what it always did. And if you look at boxing and the dynamics, most of the people that are involved in the sport of boxing are minorities, right?
Yes.
And most of them are from impoverished neighborhoods, whether it's overseas or whether it's here in the United States. So it focused primarily on at-risk youth, and that program within itself, boxing, saved a lot of young lives.
Yes.
Now it couldn't save everybody, but the program was designed to try to help everybody in the community and instill certain discipline, certain thoughts process on certain learning techniques. And if we were able to keep, well, my grandfather at the time was able to keep somebody in the gym for maybe 4 to 6 hours, that's 4 to 6 hours they're removed from the street. So you and I come from Brooklyn, and at that time, Brooklyn was at a very violent time in our history in New York City. So it saved a lot of lives. Couldn't save everybody, but that program still exists today, and we still stand on that. That's our mission and priority.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you learned from your grandfather, the great Jimmy O? What were some of the things that you look back on life and you see yourself now when you got to see that, you know, you were able to continue to move forward?
There were so many things, so many gems that I learned from my grandfather. Excuse me. So many gems. I think the most important part is family and community. I think giving back was the biggest thing, and that's one of the reasons. Excuse me, tongue tie. That's one of the reasons why, you know, we have Cops and Kids. Is to give back. I think that was very important learning lesson that I learned from my grandfather. But aside from that was community and family. We're all about family, and we have to take care of one another.
Yeah. So and so adding on to that with family, you know, with Cops and Kids and everything else you're doing, you know, career, you know, so many different things. Man, you know, what people don't see is everything is time consuming. It takes time to be able to do. How has that been for you, especially with, you know, 2020 was huge, pandemic, COVID, and you guys, you know, it's not just you, it's your wife, and you guys got up every day, made the attempt to not only continue to live your lives, but then help others. How has that been for you guys? Especially that, like I said, 2020 was a very difficult year for everybody. What was that like for you?
No sleep. I'll be honest with you. There was no sleep. The entire 2020 was no sleep at all. 2020, if it's any reflection of 2020,
I hope not.
I hope not either. But as far as us helping people, that's what it was like. There were some challenging times in 2020 when it came to what we were doing for our community, because we had some times where we didn't know how we were going to accomplish the things we wanted to do. And somehow we just put it together and made it work. And then some people would say to us, like, how you guys do what you do?
Right.
And I say, you know, by the grace of God. Yes. Quite honest with you. I mean, He wakes us up every morning.
There you go.
As long as we have what we need to do, we're going to get it done. Somebody picks up the phone and says, oh, can you help me out with this? I'm like, okay, no problem. What do you need? All right, we'll be there. So I think for us, being passionate and helping our community is what drives us.
Yeah.
You know, because you always say pay it forward. It'll always come back to you. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, I don't expect anything to come back to me. I just do it because there's a need for it. Somebody needs help. You know, I think also too, my upbringing had a lot to do with it. Right? Because my grandmother was everywhere. My grandfather helped everybody and everyone. Okay, you got a problem? Let's try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, even with my job on a day-to-day basis, that's one of the reasons why I took the job in law enforcement, is to help people.
Yeah.
So, and coming from Brooklyn, that's all I know.